Welcome to the Distraction Quiz, brought to you today by every podcast on the Distraction Pieces Network. We wanted to give you something fun to do in these strange times, so we've recorded 2 quizzes for you. My name is Scroobius Pip. I am an actor, podcaster, former rapper / spoken word type person, current CEO of Speech Development Records,
and Emperor of the Distraction Pieces Network.
And I am going to be your host for today's quiz. We're going to have 8 rounds, so get your pens and papers ready, get your friends ready. The rounds are going to be music, kids TV, gaming, retro law enforcement, films, science, sports, and general knowledge / guesswork. Anyone familiar with the network will know that you can probably guess who is going to be hosting which rounds, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So I think let's kick things off, shall we? Are you ready? Have you got your pens and your paper and your mind on lock? If so, let's begin. The first round is going to be a music round, and it is going to be hosted by the elder statesman of the Distraction Pieces Network. Not so much the father figure, but the weird friend of your father who you don't know really what he does for a job, but he's around a lot. He's fun, maybe too fun, but it's Stu Whiffen, the host of both Hardcore Listing and Off the Beaten Track. It's because of his Off the Beaten Track podcast that we thought he should do the music round. So over to Stu.
It's Off the Beaten Track podcast on the Distraction Pieces Network with me, Stu Whiffen.
Hello and welcome to the Off the Beaten Track podcast round. This will be a music round for the Distraction Pieces podcast quiz. I hope you're enjoying the quiz so far. Let's get straight on with it. Question number 1. Friends, Wild Honey and Sunflower are all albums from which band? That's Friends, Wild Honey and Sunflower. And they're albums by what band? Question 2. Can you tell me what year Oasis released their debut album, Definitely Maybe? So I want to know the year that Definitely Maybe was released. For question 3, I'm going to give you some lyrics and I want you to tell me the name of the artist and the track. Alright? The lyrics are: man up, sit down, chin up, pipe down. So I want to know the artist and the song. And those lyrics, once again, are: man up, sit down, chin up, pipe down. For question 4, I'm going to show you a piece of album artwork and I want you to tell me the name of the album and the artist. You see that okay? I want to know the name of the album and the artist. Question 5, and your last question in this round. Whose debut album was called Silent Alarm? Can you tell me who that is? Silent Alarm was the name of the album. I just want to know what band it was.
Thank you very much, Stuart Whiffen. So there's the music round. Going to take a breath, give you a chance to get all your answers written down, because we're going to go through the answers now. You ready? Good. So the first question was: Friends, Wild Honey and Sunflower are albums by which band? That is, of course, the Beach Boys. Good work if you got that one. What year did Oasis release Definitely Maybe? I was at school. I was at St Thomas More High School for Boys. It was the 29th of August, 1994. So I was 13. There's no bonus points for guessing how old I was. No one asked you that. Question number 3. Tell me the artist and song that these lyrics are from. Man up, sit down, chin up, pipe down. It is Samaritans by Idols. Idols have been a guest on the Off the Beaten Track podcast, so check that episode out. Number 4, name the album title and artist. That's album title, if you're to say it in the correct cadence. It was New Order, Power, Corruption and Lies. Half a point for each there. Same with the Idols and Samaritan, half a point for each. You're not getting 2 points. A few of the guys have been a bit loose with the bonus points, but not these ones. So question number 5, whose debut album was called Silent Alarm? It was the wonderful Block Party, and Russell from Block Party has been on my Distraction Pieces podcast. He's also been on Hardcore Listing and I think Off the Beaten Track. So yeah, that's round 1. Tally them up, see how you're doing. Are you ready for round 2? I guess you are. The newbies to the Distraction Pieces Network is the Mum and Mama podcast. So now we're going to have Amy Ballman from Mum and Mama to give you a round on kids' TV. Over to you, Amy.
Oh,
Frank.
Hi, I'm Amy from the Mum and Mama podcast. You're going to meet Harry as well. We're We are the brand new addition to the Distraction Pieces network, which is very exciting. The podcast was set up predominantly because I wanted to put something positive out into the world about being a single parent, because I think that's important for people to hear. It's not always the worst thing in the world. Obviously, it's hard, but life is hard. It's not just about being parents, though. It's about lots of other stuff, which is mainly Harry taking the piss out of me. So it's amusing. So check it out. But questions. My questions are about kids' TV. The first question is about SpongeBob SquarePants. Now, in the first SpongeBob SquarePants movie, what is stolen from King Neptune that SpongeBob and Patrick have to go and find? Is it A, his royal Krabby Patty, B, his crown, or C, his throne? So what is stolen from King Neptune? Is it A, his royal Krabby Patty, B, his crown, or C, his throne? Second question. In the amazing world of Gumball, what animal is Gumball? Is he A, a rabbit, B, a dog, or C, a fish? So what is Gumball? Is he A, a rabbit, B, a dog, or C, a fish? I feel like the countdown music is going on in my head. I'm not going to dance. Third question. Name the 6 main Thundercats. I say main because when I Googled them to make sure that I did remember them rightly, there was one that I couldn't really remember. So just like the 6 main ones. Fourth question. Oh, I think that one will be worth 6 points because it's 6 answers, right? Fourth question. In Fraggle Rock, what are the workers called? So like the little worker guys, what were they called? Fraggle Rock is back on Apple TV. It's very exciting. I don't actually have Apple TV, but I'm still very excited about it. And finally, who recently returned to read the bedtime story on CBeebies for a whole week? For the mums, I think that one was. But yeah, who recently returned and read it for a whole week? This is like the end of April. And that is it. Thank you. I hope you have fun and get everything right. Bye.
And that was Amy of Mama Mama podcast with the Kids TV Round. No, hang on. Thank you very much, Amy. I hate you dearly. Are you ready for the answers? Number 1. In the first SpongeBob SquarePants movie, what is stolen from King Neptune that SpongeBob and Patrick have to go and retrieve? Is it A, his royal Krabby Patty? Is it B, his crown? Or is it C, his throne? Now, if you didn't know this, I reckon you went for A, because it sounds more specific, right? Or you have been tricked. Because the answer is B, his crown. Number 2. In the show The Amazing World of Gumball, what type of animal is Gumball? Is he A, a rabbit, B, a dog, or C, a fish? What did you go for? If you're not screaming angrily at the screen right now, then you are incorrect, because this was a trick question. He is a cat, and if you wrote down cat, you can have 2 points for that. Because it's none of them. There's the assumption that because the dad's a rabbit, you know them, but he's a cat. Gumball is a cat. Number 3, name the 6 main Thundercats. Now, don't argue over what are the main Thundercats. You should know. So I'm going to give you the answers. Lion-O, Chitara, Panthro, Wily Kit, Wily Cat, and Tigra. There we go. Not Snarf. If you put Snarf down, Snarf was not a Thundercat. Snarf was in fact the breed and the name of the animal. So Snarf was a Snarf, which is very confusing. But he wasn't a Thundercat. He was originally, he was kind of the nanny, the live-in nanny of Lion-O. And then, you know, helped out along the way and went Snarf a lot. Oh, just interrupting myself there. Amy decided to give you a a point for each one that you name. So suddenly her round is worth more than all the other rounds. But there we go. There's a point for each one you name. Number 4. What are the workers in Fraggle Rock called? They're called puppeteers. No, not really. I'm joking. They're the doozers. They're obviously doozers. Number 5. Who recently returned? I got a bit tongue-tied because of the excitingness of this answer. Who recently returned to read the bedtime story on CBeebies every night for a week at the end of April? Now, instead of giving you the answer, why don't I welcome him into the room? Ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm just kidding. The answer is Tom Hardy. Of course it is. One for the mums. Tally them up. The round's over. Right. The next round is the gaming round, and it's hosted by Dan Lassac. Dan Lassac is the host of the Falling Forward podcast. Now, that isn't a gaming podcast. He's had some gaming developers on there, like Mike Bithell. I've got a stutter. And had a lot of gaming chat. But we decided to give him the gaming round because Dan also is on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Dan Lassac, I assume. But just search for Dan Lassac. So we thought we'd give him the gaming round. So over to Dan Lassac for the gaming round.
Hello! I don't know why I shouted. Hello, Dan Lassac here. I've got some questions for you about video games, apparently, because that's what Pip thinks of me. Question 1. In Super Meat Boy, who kidnapped Bandage Girl? Question 2. I've got enough fingers for this, yeah? Question 2. Which British broadcaster played Sean Hastings in the Assassin's Creed franchise? Question 3. On which console did the Final Fantasy series first appear? I could be doing this in silly voices, I should really. Question 4. In which PS4 game did Lance Reddick play Silence? Question 5. During development, what was Sonic the Hedgehog originally called? Yes. Difficult questions, I know, very. To you, Pip, with the answers.
Thank you, Dan Lassac. Got a bit of a creaky chair, haven't I? That's annoying. Anyway, have you got your answers? I'll be honest, I found that one quite tough. But that's the beauty of quizzes. There's tougher rounds and easier rounds. Right, let's go with number 1. In Super Meat Boy, who kidnapped Bandage Girl? It was Dr. Fetus. Of course it was. Which British broadcaster plays Sean Hastings in the Assassin's Creed franchise? I'm going to give you a little bit more time to get this and give you a clue that he's been on the Distraction Pieces podcast, he's been on the Falling Forward podcast, and he's been on the Off the Beaten Track podcast. I think. Has he been on Hardcore List? I think that's the 3. He might have even done Stop and Search, you know, I'm not sure. But he's been on a lot. It is, of course, Danny Wallace. Number 3. On which console did the Final Fantasy series first appear? It was the NES. A little tip, if you're not a gamer, but a lot of your friends are getting excited about Final Fantasy VII, often when they tweet about it, they abbreviate this rework of it. They abbreviate it to FF7. If you want to really annoy them, pretend you think they're talking about Fast and Furious 7. Yeah, really pisses them off. I did it to Jim Smallman recently. Number 4. In which PS4 game did Lance Reddick play Silence? Horizon Zero Dawn, guys. It was Horizon Zero Dawn. Number 5. During development, what was Sonic the Hedgehog's original name? This is an amazing one because I didn't know this, but I'm glad I know it now. So what was Sonic's original name? It was Mr. Needlemouse. There we go. End of the gaming round. Good work if you've done well there. If you haven't, I don't know what to tell you. I mentioned him in the last round. This next round is hosted by Jason Reed. Now, Jason is the host of the Stop and Search podcast, which is a really important podcast about drug law and the development of drug law and enforcement. But he's also got a new podcast, which isn't on the network, but it's amazing all the same. So I Start a Revolution from My Bed, where it's a lot of retro stuff. It's talking about things he's entertaining himself with in these strange lockdown times. So we gave him the round of retro law enforcement. Over to you, Jason.
Now, stop! Heads up! Bad boys, what you gonna do? Smell some marijuana, I'm a marijuana smoker! Call up! What you gonna do? Head up! Hold it!
Hi there, so this is Jason from Stop and Search, which is about law enforcement, drugs and blah blah blah, and I also do a new one called So I Start a Revolution from My Bed, which is about nice things, nostalgia and that. So what Pip suggested when we conceived this Distraction Pieces Network quiz is that I do a retro round. So I'm going to combine the two and do retro law enforcement. So, if you're with me, we're going to go 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s and noughties. And for this first question, we're going to go to the 60s. So, International Rescue were better known as the Thunderbirds. They had a range of craft, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what craft was it that was out in space? So question 2, we're going to do the 70s. In the late 70s, a TV show aired called Chips. And it had later on had a movie makeover with Dax Shepard and Michael Pena, who I just had to look up there on my notepad. But what does CHIPS actually stand for? What does the acronym stand for? Right, we're now going on to the 80s. And apparently my other half said this one's quite hard, which I didn't think it was because I'm a child of the 80s and I think everybody knows this. But Manimal, he was a crime fighter, he was a weird old crime fighter. He changed into animals to fit his situation. There was a range of them, but there was 2 in particular that he went for. Name one of the 2 animals that he preferred to change into. On to the 90s. It's quite a simple one. Which band in 1995 was sorted for ease and whiz? Alright, this is the last one. So in 2002, Tom Hanks played an FBI agent who was chasing down Frank Abagnale Jr., which is a true story. Can you name the film?
There we go. That was Jason Reed with the retro law enforcement round. I love this. Let's get to the answers. A lot of you will have thought retro law enforcement, I'm going to struggle on this, but he's a fun dude, so he's made it good, and there's some achievable bits. Number 1, this was the 60s round. Which Thunderbird ship went into space? It was Thunderbird 5, of course. Number 2, 70s. What does the acronym CHIPS stand for? It's a really bad acronym because it stands for California Highway Patrol. So it should just be CHIP. On to number 3, the 80s. What were the 2 main animals that Manimals? Number 3, the 80s. We don't need to edit any of this. Number 3, the 80s. What were the 2 main animals that Manimal morphed into? It's a bit of a tongue twister for someone with a speech impediment. It was a panther and a hawk. But we will accept a bird. Panther and bird. Go for it. And you'll have a half a point for each of them. Half a point for each, not a point for each. Number 4, the 90s. Who was sorted out for ease and whiz? It was my mate Skaghead Bobby. No, it wasn't. It was Pulp. Of course it was Pulp. What a banger. Number 5, noughties. In what film did Tom Hanks chase down Leonardo DiCaprio? Do you know the answer? It was Catch Me If You Can. There we go. Speaking of films, let's move on to the film round, shall we? This round is hosted by Brett Goldstein, actor, director, stand-up comedian, writer, all sorts of stuff, and also the wonderful host of the Films to Be Buried With podcast. Over to you, Brett.
Look out, there's only films to be buried with. Hello, and welcome to the Films to Be Buried With section of the quiz. Look, there's a proper movie poster to show I'm legit. I've put on a suit, especially, top half only, obviously. Let's do a quiz, shall we? Pop quiz, hot shots. Not a pop quiz, it's a film quiz. First round is movie knowledge. This is pure quiz, pure film quiz. Question 1. Roger Ebert, renowned movie critic, described cinema as a machine for creating what? Is the answer A, connection, B, clones, C, intelligence, D, empathy, or E, boners? Did Roger Ebert say that cinema was a machine for creating connection, clones, intelligence, empathy, or boners? Got that? Question 2. Meryl Streep's won a lot of Oscars, hasn't she? Fair play to her. But how many? How many Oscars has Meryl Streep won? And, for a bonus point, how many nominations has she received in total in her lifetime? Tricky one. Maybe amongst yourselves, give a point to the person who got closest. Up to you. I don't live with you. Got that? In the film Titanic, which artist does Billy Zane say won't amount to a thing? Was it A, Matisse, B, Picasso, C, Van Gogh, D, Da Vinci, or E, Kandinsky? In the film Titanic, which artist does Billy Zane say won't amount to a thing? Matisse, Picasso, Van Gogh, Da Vinci, or Kandinsky? Got that? Next question. How many feature films has Richard Curtis directed? And a bonus point if you can name them all. How many feature films has Richard Curtis directed? Bonus point if you can name them all. Got that? And then the last question on the questions round. What is the name of the skyscraper in Die Hard? And a bonus point if you can tell me the name of the building in real life. So the name of the skyscraper in Die Hard and the name of the skyscraper that was shot in Die Hard in real life. Does that make sense? I couldn't be clearer than that. Come on. The name of the skyscraper and then the name of the skyscraper. One, like if it were a character, what's it called? If it's real, what's it called? I mean, you're making it hard. Got that?
There we go. That was the movie rounds. And yes, Brett, I have got that. I've got that. You're looking good, Brett. Glad you put in some effort. Let's go to the answers. Number 1, Roger Ebert, renowned movie critic, describes cinema as a machine for creating what? A, connection, B, clones, C, intelligence, D, empathy, or E, boners? What do you think the answer is? It's empathy. D, empathy. Number 2, Meryl Streep has won how many Oscars? Bonus point for how many nominations? She's won 3 Oscars, but she's had 21 nominations. So if you got both of them, then good luck to you, I say. Number 3, in the film Titanic, which artist does Billy Zane say won't amount to a thing? Is it A, Matisse, B, Picasso, C, Van Gogh, D, Da Vinci, or E, Kandinsky? It's A, Picasso, of course it is. Number 4, how many feature films has Richard Curtis directed? Bonus point if you can name all of them. So 1 bonus point, not a bonus point for each one you can name. The answer is 3. And only if you got the answer right at 3 can you get the bonus point for naming all 3. Okay? Okay? The answers are Love Actually, The Boat That Rocked, and About Time. Number 5. What is the name of the skyscraper in Die Hard? And bonus point for knowing what the building is actually called. I still don't think Brett made that clear, but essentially, what's the name of the character and what's the name of the actor? That's all he needed to say. The name of the building in the film, the name of the building in real life. In the film, it is called Nakatomi Plaza. And for a bonus point, it's the Fox Studios building. That's its name. There we go. How you doing so far? We're well past the halfway point. Right, let's get on to Dr. Suzi Gage with the science round. Dr. Suzi Gage is the only doctor on the network, obviously. And her Say Why to Drugs podcast has ended up being used in schools, in colleges, all over the place. So we couldn't be prouder to have it on the podcast, but we couldn't have her just talk about drugs. So let's go over to Dr. Suzi Gage for science.
Hello, it's Suzi Gage from the Say Why to Drugs podcast here, and as you might expect, I've got a science round for you. So, question number 1. So far, there's only been one British female Nobel Prize for Science winner, and I'd like you to tell me her name. So I'm going to give you 3 options. Is it A, Marie Curie, B, Rosalind Franklin, or C, Dorothy Crowfoot Hodgkin? Question number 2. In 1967, Jocelyn Bell Burnell first discovered pulsars when she was a PhD student. Even if you've never heard of Jocelyn Bell Burnell or pulsars, you've probably seen an image of them because Peter Saville made it one of the most iconic black and white images of the 1980s. What was the image used for? Question number 3. What is or are the furthest human-made objects from the Earth as of this moment? Question number 4. The area at the back of the brain is known as the occipital lobe. What one of our senses is it primarily involved with? And question number 5. During which geological time period did the dinosaur, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, roam the Earth? That's it for this first batch of questions. See you later. Good luck.
Thank you, Suzi. That was Suzi with the science round. Let's go. Number 1. Who is the only British woman to win a Nobel Prize for science? Marie Curie, Rosalind Franklin, or Dorothy Crowfoot Hodgkin? It's Dorothy Crowfoot Hodgkin for her work on discovering the structure of molecules using X-ray crystallography. Obviously, we all know. I'm not reading this. Number 2, Jocelyn Bell Burnell discovered the first pulsar in 1967. But even if you've never heard of her or pulsars, you've probably seen an image of successive pulsar signals stacked vertically as it became hugely famous after being adapted by graphic designer Peter Saville. Why? Where have you seen this? Where have you seen it? I got this one. Honestly, I got this one. It was used on the cover of Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures album, which then has been on numerous t-shirts, posters, mugs, everything. So it's the black and the white squiggly lines on the black. You know. Number 3, what is or are the furthest human-made objects from Earth? They're the Voyager space probes, which are over 13 million miles from Earth and counting. That's really far. Number 4, the area at the back of the brain is known as the occipital lobe. Which of our senses is it primarily involved in? The occipital lobe. A lobe makes you think ears, hearing. That other word makes you think maybe sight. And the answer is vision. Number 5, which geological time period did the Tyrannosaurus Rex live in? Now, I'm hoping that Chris Glasson, our last quizzer, knows this one because he's a big fan of dinosaurs. So if you're watching, Chris, you better get this right. If Molly is with you, you know, she'll be looking over at you going, if you get this wrong, you've lost all credibility. Because it was the Cretaceous period. This was a really mean trick question because Jurassic Park lied to you. Obviously, it wasn't the Jurassic period. T-Rex lived millions of years after the end of the Jurassic period and millions of years before the start of the film Jurassic Park. Added that bit. That wasn't a fact from Suzi, but I'm pretty sure it's true. Let's go on to are we on the penultimate round? This one is hosted by Jim Smallman. Now, Jim Smallman isn't even on the network anymore, but he was the original host of Tuesday Night Jaw, our wrestling podcast, which is now hosted by the amazing Matt Richards. But we wanted Jim to do a round on this because he's our mate still, and he's in the group chat. And he's got a new podcast called Football Futures with Greg Bell, in which he's adopting the character of Greg Bell, and he's giving news and analysis of a football season in a football simulator. So the season is 2024-25, I think. So yeah, anyway, Jim was going to do some football rounds, but we decided that was too specific. So we got our sports journalist in to add some sports questions. So this is a mixture of Jim with football. In general, it's just sports. It's sports. So over to Jim and our sports representative. Jim.
Hello everybody, I'm Jim Smallman. I am here with some football questions for you in this big old quiz. Five of them for you from my spare room where I now work and live and eat, and one day we'll leave. So, question 1.
Whoa! Slow down there, Jim. Hi guys, Scroobius Pip here. Am I a professional athlete? No. But do I train like a professional athlete? Also, no. But have I watched some sports before? At some, yes, I've watched some sports. So instead of a full round of football, I'm going to throw in a few questions on, let's say, combat sports. Let's go.
So, question 1 from my football round. In February 1979, Trevor Francis became the first £1 million footballer to be transferred either to or from an English football team, moving from Birmingham to Nottingham Forest. Who was the first ever £2 million transfer, moving to or from an English team?
Oh, hi guys. I'm just doing some inverted kettlebell presses. Trapzilla. So, at the first ever UFC event, what was discussed as a possible option? Switch arms, always equal. To go with the event. Was it A, the fighters are to walk to the octagon accompanied by tigers? Was it B, the octagon would be surrounded by alligators in a moat? Or was it C, almost touch the roof, almost smashed a hole in the ceiling? That's how hard I push. No glass ceilings, baby. Or was it C, the halftime entertainment was going to be provided by performing bears?
question 3. In how many different countries has Diego Maradona managed a club football side? In how many different countries has Diego Armando Maradona managed a club football side?
Guys, just doing some lightweights now to shore things up. You shouldn't always go at 100%. I know it's hard. After Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko to become the world heavyweight champion in 2015, what song did he perform in the ring?
Finally, question 5, involving the team I support, because why wouldn't I abuse my position in this way? When Leicester City won the Premier League in 2016, how many players in their squad started at least one game of the season? How many players in Leicester City's title-winning squad started at least one game that season?
There we go. That was Jim and just some gorgeous hunk. A professional athlete probably played it down. Let's get to the answers. Number 1, who was the first ever £2 million player moving to or from an English club? It was Mark Hughes. In May 1986, moving from Manchester United to Barcelona. Question number 2. At UFC 1, what was the original plans that the organisers discussed? Is what he was meant to say if he'd learnt the question properly. A. The fighters are to walk to the octagon accompanied by tigers. B. Alligators were to surround the octagon in a moat. Or C. The halftime entertainment was to be performed by trained bears. What do you reckon? Absolutely bonkers either way. It didn't happen, but it was something that they were looking into the possibility of. The answer is B. Alligators surrounding the octagon in a moat. I mean... Number 3. In how many different countries has Diego Maradona managed a club football side? And I'll give you a bonus point if you can name all 3 of them. Not a bonus point for each one, but a bonus point if you can name all 3. The answer is 3. Argentina, United Arab Emirates and Mexico. Number 4. After Tyson Fury beat Vladimir Klitschko to become the world heavyweight champion in 2015, what song did he sing in the ring? The answer is Aerosmith.
I don't wanna fall asleep 'cause I love you, babe. And I
don't want to miss a thing. And number 5. In Leicester City's title-winning season, how many of their squad started at least one game that season? Started at least one game that season. It's 19. That's loads. This is the end. Beautiful friend, the end. This is the final round from Mr. Christopher Glasson of the Hardcore Listening podcast. Anyone who's a regular listener will know that Chris is known for his guesswork, getting names wrong, getting facts wrong. So some of these are based on things he's got wrong previously. And some of them are just things that you'll have to have a good guess at. So let's go to the one, Christopher Glasson.
Chris and Stu present Hardcore Listing.
Hey, hello. It's the Dangerous Loner, Chris from Hardcore Listing. Hope your self-isolation is going splendidly, or as well as it can. We're doing a quiz on the distraction pieces. So I've been asked to do a top 5 of my choice. My top 5 is top 5 sort of answers you might need a bit of guesswork for, which, as you know, if you listen to Hardcore Listening, we like to do our best at guesswork as opposed to giving you the facts. That's what the good podcasts are for, such as Suzi Gage's Say White to Drugs, for example. So here's my top 5 sort of answers that you might need to use a bit of guesswork for, or you may well know them because you are omnipotent and all-knowing. So question 1. What animal takes the most... Well, what's the most deadly animal? What takes the most human lives per year? What animal does that? And that includes reptiles, insects, mammals, anything in the sea. What animal is basically the most deadly? Not including humans. It's not one of those, oh, aren't we terrible? Okay, give you some time. Right. Okay, here we go. Question 2. If you're about to have a heart attack, what is a common household pill you should chew, not swallow, to prevent it from fully ravaging you and maybe preventing the heart attack? So question 2, what common household pill can you chew if you suspect you're about to have a heart attack and might stop it? Got it? Great. Who played the role? So, let's start again. Question 3. Who played the role of a dangerous sociopath acting alongside Ray Winstone in the movie Sexy Beast? Who played the role of a dangerous sociopath who is an ex-associate of Ray Winstone's character in Sexy Beast? What's the name of the actor? No guesswork allowed here. I can tell you, it's not Ken Livingstone. Question 4. Okay. Name arguably the most deranged rock star of all time, who famously would shit on stage, sometimes, well, in one case poked a banana up his bum on stage, and also used to commonly threaten that he was going to commit suicide live on stage, but unfortunately heroin beat him to it and he died of an overdose of heroin. So what deranged rock star died of a heroin overdose, used to defecate a lot on stage, and used to frequently threaten suicide live on stage? And finally, question 5. What was the only ancient culture that had a word for the colour blue? What was the only ancient culture that had a word for the colour blue? I.e. none of the others did. We're going back some time as well, not 500 years. We're going back, a good couple of thousand years here. Okay. That's those 5 questions. I hope you've got the answers to them or not. I really don't give a fuck. There's no real prizes here, is there? It's just getting rid of some time.
Thank you, Chris, and all the best in there. Let's go. Number 1. What's the world's most deadly animal and claims the most deaths per year, excluding humans? I mean, including humans, because humans don't, on average, kill this many per year. Not kill, they die, but including all other living things: fish, insects, reptiles, mammals. The answer is the mosquito. Takes 600,000 plus per year. A child every 30 seconds. And that's just this one mosquito that's proper fucking into killing children. That's my first swear of the thing. Never mind, it's only one. Number 2, if you suspect you are about to have a heart attack, what common household pill should you chew? It's an aspirin. Chew on that aspirin. Number 3, who played the role of a dangerous sociopath, an ex-associate of Ray Winstone's character in Sexy Beast? It was Sir Ben Kingsley, which Chris famously referred to as Ken Livingstone on Hardcore Listing. Number 4, name arguably the most deranged rock star of all time, whose feats include defecating on stage, popping a banana up his bum, and often promised to commit suicide live on stage. Unfortunately, a heroin overdose beat him to it. It's Gage Allen, and this is one that I text Chris loads of abuse about because he pronounced it Gigi all in. Which it is written like that. But yeah, it's G.G. Allen. Number 5. What was the only ancient culture to develop a word for blue, for the colour blue? Which was the only ancient culture to develop a word for blue? It was the Egyptians, and they were also the only ones who could produce the colour. So there we go. End of the round. Tally up your scores. How have you done? How have you done compared to other people in the room? Have you seen people online who are giving their scores about? I hope you did well, but if you didn't, whoa!
Hold up.
Hold up. Because we've got a bonus round. A bonus round that is worth, it's one question, it's worth 5 points, and it is from 76, the producer of Hardcore Listing and Off the Beaten Track. So over to you, 76.
No, it was dead when we moved in. It's fine, just leave it there. We can leave it there for another couple of months or so. No, it's fine. Oh, hey Pip. Welcome to the bonus round. Arguably, Nas's Illmatic is the greatest album of all. Nas's Illmatic is the greatest hip hop album of all time. It has 5 producers. So my bonus question is, name all 5 producers with a point for each producer. Thanks, Pip. Back to you.
There we go. That was the bonus question from 76. Going to give you a little bit of time to write them down. Name the 5 producers on arguably the greatest hip-hop album of all time. Distraction Pieces by Nas Illmatic. Right, pens down. Pick them up again to do your scoring, but pens down and then pick them up again. The answers are DJ Premier, Q-Tip, Pete Rock, Large Professor, and L.E.S. That's 1, that's not 3 at the end. So there we go. Tally up your scores. Please tweet them to me, to anyone on the network, Instagram them, Facebook them. Use the hashtag Distraction Quiz. We should have had that somewhere on the screen the whole time. Hashtag Distraction Quiz. Give us your scores, give us your thoughts, and we will be back next week with another Distraction Quiz. Thank you for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure. Stay safe, stay home, wash your hands more than you normally would. Wash them for 20 seconds whilst singing Happy Birthday, but do it for someone you've lost. Sing Happy Birthday, not recently, that would be too morbid. Sing Happy Birthday, even if it's a musician like Prince. Sing Happy Birthday to Prince, morbidly and slowly, as you wash your dirty little hands. Alright, see you next week. Obviously, all of the podcasts on the Distraction Pieces network are out regularly, are available on iTunes, Spotify, Acast, and all podcast platforms. Give them a look, give them support, listen to podcasts in this period, and we will see you next week. That wasn't even a sentence. Ta-ta.